Welcome back to the podcast, Stuff About Money They Didn't Teach You in School. I'm Xavier Angel, certified financial planner, and I'm joined today with my co-host, Erik Garcia, certified financial planner.
That's right.
And I'm excited today. Excited about our guest.
Enthusiastic.
I'm excited about our guest, Felix Garcia.
Hey, I know that guy.
I've learned he is a great guy. I've learned a lot from him over the past 2 years. So, Erik, tell us, how do you know him?
Felix, I met him about, 42 years ago. No, as you guess, Felix, 42 years ago, yeah. All the grays you wouldn't think. You think it was longer than that. But no, Felix Garcia, the one, the only. Felix is my father. This is the man who taught me a lot about life, a lot about business. I can't say enough about him, but should I call him Felix or should I call him Dad for the show? I can't call him Felix. Dad, welcome to Stuff About Money. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Thanks for making time to join the show. So give us a quick, I don't know if it's possible to give us a quick, but give us like a quick rundown. Who is this Felix Garcia?
Well, Erik wants me to give you my life story in 2 minutes, and that's kind of difficult. But I will try to do my best.
The floor is yours, man.
I was
born
in Cuba, May 18, 1948, in a small town in Cuba called San Miguel de los Baños. Great little town. It was a very progressive town. It was the town actually lived from the tourists because we had there was mineral waters, and people used to come to drink the waters and take bath in the pools, and it was said that all kinds of ills would be cured from drinking the water.
Yeah,
but anyway,
the name of the town, St. Michael of the Baths, right? So it's named after the
correct.
springs. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. My grandfather used to work for one of the hotels in the town. He was the maintenance man. And I used to go with him. I met a lot of people, a lot of guests. I used to go there. When I was about 15 years old, one of the guests asked me if I wanted to leave Cuba. And of course, I was delighted to leave Cuba. As you all well know, Cuba is a communist country. And I didn't want to be raised there. So this man...
What year was that? About what year was that?
That was in 1963.
1963.
I was 50. Yeah, actually it was November 22nd, 1963, the day after President Kennedy was assassinated. So we left Cuba and we went to Spain. I was in Spain up until March 1964. March 1964, we came to the United States. And arrived in New Orleans, like I said, March 1964. And from that point, actually, a year after we got it in New Orleans, the man passed away, and I was left all on my own with no family, no one to look after me.
So how old are you at this point?
I was 16 years old.
16 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
16 years old, on my own. It was difficult. I had a lot of ups and downs. I started working and held a lot of jobs, but I didn't want to be working in a place where somebody was telling me what to do. I wanted to be independent. And finally, in 1977, I started in the insurance business and have done very well, and I have been here ever since.
So you came over at 16 years old by yourself here, and you are where you are today. And I think that is a beautiful story and one that we could definitely bring on, and you could share some of that knowledge with individuals. It's just a tremendous story, and I'm glad to have you on board because of that.
So I got a couple questions. there's obviously a lot that was missing from that story. I mean, we don't have time. Maybe we should just do like a series with my dad, because I think there's so many takeaways there. But you talked about when you came.
That could be a series. That could be a series all alone.
Yeah, stuff about Felix you didn't learn in school. Yeah. Man, that would we could launch a whole other show. Stuff about Felix they didn't teach you in school. So you talked about coming over. You're 16 years old. I mean, were you in school? Like, did you go to school? Like, what? How did you learn English? Like, what? Give us a little bit of details there. What were you skilled to do? Like, what jobs were you doing?
At the beginning, I did, since I had this man that took me out of Cuba for the first year in the United States. I had him to rely on. So I went to school to get my high school diploma. But a year later, like I said, he passed away. So I had to quit school and go to work to support myself. And I just started working in, first of all, I was delivering papers in the morning, Times-Picayune in the morning. And then after that, I would go to downtown and work in an office, delivering papers from office to office.
Like a courier?
As you know, a courier, yeah. Back in those days, there was no text, there was no none of that stuff. So it had to be done just walking around. I was making $25 a week, and of course, I wanted it to make more money. And I wanted to move from there, and I started looking for other jobs, but nobody wanted to hire me because I didn't have a high school diploma. So I made a decision that I needed to do something about that. So I started to go to school at night to get my GED, which I did. Couple years later, I believe I got my GED. Then went on to Loyola University to try to get my degree, my college degree. But I had to stop after 3 years because I got married, I had my first son, and I could not afford to go to school and support a family. Then, like I said, in 1977, I came into the insurance business, which was one of my best decisions. And I've been in it up to this moment.
Yeah, insurance. Go ahead, Xavier.
Felix, how did you? So here you are. You've had to learn the language. You've had to learn to be able to cross that language barrier. I'm interested to find out, how did you get into the insurance business? What was it about the insurance, and what was it about the insurance business that drove you to make that decision to get into it?
Well, first of all, when I first arrived, to be honest with you, I was scared. New country, new people, new language. I felt that the air that I was breathing wasn't even my air. I felt awkward. But then finally, I just adapted to all of those changes. While I was working for a supermarket as a manager, I started meeting some people that told me, you should go into the insurance business. And I went ahead and took, back in those days, you had to take an aptitude test to see if you were up to be in the business. And I did. And I did well in the test. But I wasn't really sure that I wanted to leave a good paying job. I was making pretty good money back in those days at the supermarket. I liked what I was doing. So I kept holding back. But then I had a situation in the supermarket where drove me to just quit. I had to make decisions that were to a certain point against my moral and my way of thinking. And so I called one of those guys who asked me to be in the insurance business, and I started working in the insurance business. And I did very well. The first year, I was the number 5 rookie in the entire southern region.
And just to let people know that is not a small feat. That's a big feat to accomplish.
Can you tell us the story about your first paycheck that you got when you joined the insurance business? Oh no, that's fast forward. That's not the first check. It's the first check when you switched companies, right?
The first check when I was selling just life insurance for a company called Sun Life of Canada, and I had a friend who was with American National insurance company, and he wanted me to move there, but I didn't want to do it. But finally, I made the decision because the company had property and casualty as well. And I felt that I was able to serve the clients, not just for life, but for also other things. So I started working there, and the first check that I got was for probably, if I remember correctly, $35. And I was so mad and so upset that I went to see the manager, who was a fine gentleman, very gentleman. And I just stood in front of him and I just threw the check at him and I said, do you think I can support my family with a check like this? This is ridiculous. So the man sat me down and he talked to me very gently. And he kept helping me and telling me things that I needed to do to improve and all that kind of stuff. And I did follow what he was saying. And we struggled, but we finally made it. And was with that company up until July of this year that they retired me.
So how many years were you in the business?
40 plus years, about 44 years. 44, 45 years, perhaps.
I grew up
since
in the insurance
1977.
business, Xavier. It's my life. That's my life.
I see that.
I want to signpost something here. Something that, you know, as you're listening to my dad talk, and this is a lesson that I learned that you just kind of pick up, right? I don't know if there was any time where he said, "Son, let me sit you down and teach you this," but this is something that you pick up, right? Just being around him, and I mean, he would verbalize it, but he talked about all the different jobs, and there's this constant desire to grow, this constant desire to improve. One of the things that he taught me was never let anyone tell you what you're worth. Right? So all of his jobs up until the insurance space, someone was telling him how much he was going to get paid. He was having to live within someone else's rules. His reason for leaving the supermarket, he was put in a position to make a decision to fire someone that he didn't think it was justified, and he wasn't going to do that to a man's family. And I don't know, did you get fired or did you walk away, Dad? I forget.
Well, they asked me to fire him, and I told him I wasn't going to do it. I told him, if you want to fire him, it's going to be on your conscience, not on my conscience.
Yeah. But did they fire you or did you leave?
No, they demoted me at that point, and they kind of made my life really impossible to continue. And finally, I just made the decision that what I needed to do was to get out of there.
Yeah, and then you ended up in an industry where you were able to basically write your own check. You were able to say, hey, what do I think I'm worth? If I work hard, I can make more money. I can build my own business, create my own rules for staff, for employees, and as a result, you built a nice little career there. All right, so there was a lot that you said there, and I want to go back to something else that you said about the risk of leaving a well-paying job. So you had a job that was steady, was paying the bills, maybe wouldn't have been something where you would have really been able to grow financially, but you took a risk to go somewhere else. Can you talk a little bit about that decision, if you can remember how you made that decision and what motivated you ultimately to do that?
My motivation was because I wanted it to be independent. I didn't want to have anyone to tell me what to do or what not to do. I knew that in the insurance business, if I want to make more money, I had to work harder. And basically that. I just felt like I was behind bars, being under somebody else's rules. And that's what motivated me to leave the insurance business. I knew it was going to be hard. I mean, I remember that I was back in those days, I was making good money, which was $375 a week, was pretty good for those days. And I left that job for a $250 a week plus commissions. And the commission was what really motivated me to come into the business.
And at this point, you were married. Was it one child or was it 2, 3? How many children did you have at this point?
I believe at that time it was.
I don't think I was born yet.
It was close. David. David was already.
Okay. I was close.
David was already born, and my daughter was born after I made that decision. So at that time, it was a new job and a new child.
So truly a leap of faith.
It was, definitely.
And I've got to add, Felix is a man of faith, and it shows in a lot of his decisions.
All right. So let me ask the question that we ask all our guests. Okay. What is something about money that you know today that you wish you would have known 20, 30, 40 years ago when you got to this country?
You know, Eddie, that I have often said to you and to all the kids that if you make $5 today, spend $3 and save $2 for tomorrow. So what I would have done differently, knowing what I know today, is rather than spending $3 and save $2, spend $2 and save $3. So I would say save more money.
You would have saved more. And
I would have saved more money.
What would a saving have done for you? How would that have changed things?
I don't think it would have changed my view of life. I don't think it would have been any different. But maybe I would have been able to do other things with additional money. You know, that money doesn't drive me. I'm not really hung up on money.
So if I make 5, spend 2, and save 3.
Correct.
That's powerful. I like that. And I think that is a great lesson for those coming up.
Yeah, and if you've listened to anything I've said, Xavier, and not you, but like our listeners and my clients, I always say there's 3 things you need to do with your money if you want to have a chance at financial security to be successful. Number 1, spend less than you make, right? If you make 5 and you only spend 3, you're spending less than you make. Number 2, save as much as you can, right? So if I make 5 and I spend 3, I'm saving 2. And then finally, don't do anything foolish with your money. Is number 3. Is foolish things cost us a lot of money. Now, Dad, you said money.
The 3 pillars.
3 pillars, yeah, if you will. Yeah, Dad, you said money doesn't drive you. Talk a little bit more about that, because you see that money often is kind of a motivation for a lot of people. I mean, you went into the insurance business because you could make more money. If money doesn't drive you, what's driving you?
Well, money is a medium of exchange. That's all it is. You use money and you get a product in return. I knew that I needed it to have money to be able to send my children to college, to pay the bills, things like that. But when I said it doesn't drive me, to the point that if I don't have money, fine. I'm not gonna be concerned that. Let me put it this way: the more I give, the more I get. If that makes any sense. Sometimes we try to hold back on doing something that we should do because we're going to have less, but that's totally the opposite. The more you give, the more you get.
Erik, I think in the past you've talked about giving as well.
Yeah.
So is that one of the other
So,
lessons that you've learned from Felix?
Yeah, sure. You know, we joke. You know, in the insurance, some of y'all listening who aren't. We have a lot of listeners who are in the insurance space. You know, I work with as a financial advisor, a lot of my clients are insurance guys because I understand the grind that they have to deal with. And in the insurance business, and Xavier, you probably remember this. There's this thing that insurance like trainers love making you do is write your eulogy. Think about your life, right? How are people going to remember you? So there's a lot of this kind of like post-mortem thinking. Like, what is it going to be like after I leave? This legacy type thinking. It's kind of both weird and interesting at the same time. But we kind of joke that on my dad's gravestone, it's going to say, Felix Garcia, he never said no. He never said no. So, he's an incredibly giving individual. I mean, when I first came into the business, so I first started working in the insurance business with my dad, and from day one, man, I'm brand new right out of college. That I was thankful that he was able to work hard and fund for me. What a blessing that was. And I come in, I'm learning the insurance business. And he says, what do you think we should do to improve the business? And I kind of have a laundry list of things that we need to do. We need to go paperless. We need to do this. We need to do that. And he says, do you think that's a good decision? Yeah, I think it's a great decision. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And he let me run with it. And to me, that's a form of giving, because here's a man who has had, 20 years already experience in the industry, 20 years of experience running a business, saying, I'm going to step back, right? And I'm going to let someone else, my son, make some of those decisions, and see where it goes. So to me, that's a form of giving. It's giving someone else authority, giving someone else the power, in the agency to make financial decisions that could impact you negatively. So absolutely, 100%. That's the fifth pillar of my 5 pillars, is give to others. And certainly seeing my dad and seeing how he has given over his life to given throughout his life to various people, certainly has influenced me.
So Erik, we now know what 4 of those 5 pillars are. What's the 4th pillar? Share with us what that 4th pillar is.
Well, the 3 pillars that you said were 3 of my pillars were not technically 3 of the 5 pillars. They play into it. But before I get to that, I think, Dad, you're going to say something. I could see the words jumping off your face.
No, what I was gonna say is that I knew from the very beginning, at a very early age.
Oh, you're going to tell this story?
Erik,
Are you going to tell this story?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That Erik was going to come into the insurance business. I had an incredible offer to become the vice president of the Hispanic department in an insurance company in Texas. And I went to the interview, and they told me the job is yours if you want it. But when I was reading what you needed to have, they said that I needed to have a college degree. Well, I didn't really graduate from college because, like I said before, I had to stop and raise my family. And they told me, it doesn't matter. You have the experience. The job is yours. But I never made a decision without talking to my family first. So I got the entire family, and I went on, beginning with my wife, Rosa, who, by the way, we be married 50 years this year.
50 years. Congratulations.
Yes. And I asked her, what you think about it? And she said, well, whatever you do, I'll follow you. I asked my son, my oldest son, David, what do you think we should do? He said, well, Dad, don't worry. I'm 18 years old. I'm already admitted to college. I can be on my own. I said, fine. I asked my daughter, and who was, I think she was 16. And I said, or something like that. Anyway, she said, it's okay, whatever you do. Then I asked Erik, what do you think? And then he asked me, well, Dad, what's going to happen to your business? And I said, well, the business is going to be taken apart and given to other agents to manage. And he throws his hands in the air and he says, well, there goes my career.
I might be the only person on earth as a kid said, I'm going to go into the insurance business when I grow up. I don't think I don't think many people aspire to go into the insurance business. It was a good run. It was a good run. It was a good run for sure.
And needless to say, I didn't accept. Needless to say, I didn't accept the position because I thought about it, and here we are.
But I mean, there's so much in that. There's so much. Like I am incredibly fortunate to have an earthly father to be able. I mean, there's so many lessons in that, right? Big decision. What did he do? Had the humility to sit down and ask his family for input and make a decision based off of that. Not as I'm going to make a decision that is best for me or that I think is best for my family. I'm going to take input from them. I mean, that in of itself, we could do a whole episode just on that. Like from a parenting standpoint, from a business decision, there's wisdom in the counsel of many. It's powerful.
And one of the big things that I took away is, we always tell our children, you can be anything that you want to be. And what I take away from that is, here you have this 16-year-old kid.
I was like 14 or 13 at the time.
Well, when Felix first came over.
Oh, him. Okay.
Yes, Felix. So Felix coming over, 15, 16 years old. The person who brought him over here is no longer here. He has to make the decision to go out and get his GED, go to college, make this decision for a career move, an unknown of what's going to happen. And he makes his career, and he builds it in 45 years. I mean, that is for your children, Erik, to be able to look at that and see where he came from and where he is now. That's got to be a powerful thing for them to look at. And all the way to your youngest, I mean, imagine what she thinks when she sees that. That's hope.
Yeah. It's a powerful story. It's a powerful story. Mm-hmm. All right. We're running on, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes here. Dad, leave us with some nuggets of wisdom.
Well, you know that I love quotes. Mm-hmm. The reason why I love quotes, I think I have probably a collection of hundreds and hundreds of quotes. And the reason why I like quotes is because in just a few words, there's so much wisdom in it. Okay, and you know that I wrote a book called Ingredients for Success, and I have some quotes in that book. And one of the quotes that I have there is, "I do not know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future." If you think about it, all the wisdom that it is in that quote.
Yeah, especially considering your story, where, man, you don't know what tomorrow holds. I'm leaving the country of my birth, going to a foreign country where I don't even speak the language. I don't have a formal education. I don't know what job skill I have. But to have that hope is powerful.
And I have two more quotes.
Oh, two more quotes. Okay.
Two more quotes.
It's your show, man.
I have another one that says, "Faith is not believing that God can; it's knowing that God will."
Yeah, I mean that ties.
Finally,
that ties in. Hold on one second. Let's let that sit, man. Let's process that. That ties again into this idea of hope. Right? It not like I wish, not like, oh man, I hope the Saints win the Super Bowl. It's not like a wishful thinking. It's more of an expectation, right? Which allows us to kind of go through the trials of life. All right, one more. What is it?
And this one is sometimes we complain about the things that we go through when we fall down. Okay, this one is, God promises a safe landing, not a calm passage. Think about that one.
Say that one more time.
It's another great quote.
Say that again.
God promises a safe landing, not a calm passage.
Yeah.
So the passage through life is going to be difficult. You're going to go through difficulties. But if you have faith, the landing would be guaranteed.
That's a mic drop. That's a mic drop quote right there, Xavier. I have nothing to add.
That is.
I have nothing to add.
I have nothing to add either. My nugget of the day is you make $5, you spend $2, and you save $3.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. There's so many takeaways. I'm gonna go back and listen to this. I mean, these are all things obviously I grew up listening to, but it never gets old. These are the basics. You know, I was listening to a podcast. I recently went on a trip and I was listening to a podcast, and the name of the podcast was "Be So Good at the Basics That People Think You're Cutting Edge." Be so good at the basics, people think you're cutting edge. And Dad, if there's one thing that I appreciate most, is that you have nailed the basics of compassion, the basics of integrity, the basics of considering others before yourself. Like these are fundamental. I think that they're hard, but I think they're basics. And everything. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what kind of education you have. It doesn't matter your background. I mean, those basics right there are so powerful, and that to me is the most valuable thing that I will take with me throughout life, that I will be able to instill and teach to my kids, and hopefully bless others with. So thanks for taking time this morning. Xavier, I think we should incorporate story time with Felix in every one of our podcasts.
I've got so many more questions that I'll be picking Felix's brain over the next.
Write them down.
years.
We're going to do round two. All right, guys. Look, if you enjoy,
Sounds
if
good.
you enjoy our podcast, follow us, share it with someone, share it on social media, give us a rating, let us know what you think. We appreciate you, and never, ever, ever stop learning.